Good morning, spiritual companions. We are reading the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna, Chapter 9, Some Intimate Disciples. Wednesday, March 11th, 1885. After school hours, M. went to Balaram's house and found the master sitting in the drawing room, surrounded by his devotees and disciples. The master's face was beaming with a sweet smile, which was reflected in the happy faces of those in the room. M. was asked to take a seat by the master's side. Master, to Girish, you had better argue this point with Narendra and see what he has to say. Girish, Narendra says that God is infinite. We cannot even so much as say that the things or persons we perceive are part of God. How can infinity have parts? It cannot. Master, however great and infinite God may be, his essence can and does manifest itself through man by his mere will. God's incarnation as a man cannot be explained by analogy. One must feel it for oneself and realize it by direct perception. An analogy can give us only a little glimpse. By touching the horns, legs, or tail of a cow, we, in fact, touch the cow herself. But for us, the essential thing about a cow is her milk, which comes through the udder. The divine incarnation is like the udder. God incarnates himself as man from time to time in order to teach people devotion and divine love. Girish, Narendra says, is it ever possible to know all of God? He is infinite. Master, to Girish, who can comprehend everything about God? It is not given to man to know any aspect of God, great or small. And what need is there to know everything about God? It is enough if we only see him. And we see God himself if we but see his incarnation. Suppose a person goes to the Ganges and touches its water. He will then say, "Yes, I have seen and touched the Ganges." To say this, it is not necessary for him to touch the whole length of the river from Hardwar to Gangasagar. Laughter. If I touch your feet, surely that is the same as touching you. Laughter. If a person goes to the ocean and touches but a little of its water, he has surely touched the ocean itself. Fire as an element exists in all things, but in wood it is present to a greater degree. Girish, smiling, I am looking for fire. Naturally, I want to go to a place where I can get it. Master, smiling, yes, fire as an element is present more in wood than in any other object. If you seek God, then seek him in man. He manifests himself more in man than in any other thing. If you see a man endowed with ecstatic love, overflowing with prima, mad after God, intoxicated with his love, then know for certain that God has incarnated himself through that man. To M. There is no doubt that God exists in all things, but the manifestations of his power are different in different beings. The greatest manifestation of his power is through an incarnation. Again, in some incarnations, there is a complex manifestation of God's power. Girish, Narendra says that God is beyond our words and thought. Master, that is not altogether true. He is, no doubt, unknowable by this ordinary mind, but he can indeed be known by the pure mind. The mind and intellect become pure the moment they are free from attachment to woman and gold. The pure mind and pure intellect are one and the same. God is known by the pure mind. Didn't the sages and seers of olden times see God? They realized the all-pervading consciousness by means of their inner consciousness. Girish, with a smile, I defeated Narendra in the argument. Master, oh no. He said to me, when Girish Ghosh has so much faith in God's incarnation as man, what can I say to him? It is not proper to meddle with such faith. Narendra is a boy of a very high order. He excels in everything, vocal and instrumental music and studies. Again, he has control over his sense organs. He is truthful and has discrimination and dispassion. So many virtues in one person. To M, what do you say? Isn't he unusually good? M, yes, sir, he is. Master, aside to M, he, meaning Girish, has great earnestness and faith. M looked at Girish and marveled at his tremendous faith. Girish had been coming to Sri Ramakrishna only a short time and had already recognized his spiritual power. To M, he seemed a familiar friend and kinsman, related to him by the strong bond of spirituality. Girish was one of the gems in the necklace of the Master's devotees. Gradually, it became dusk. The shadow of evening fell on Calcutta. For the moment, the noise of the busy metropolis was subdued. Gongs and conch shells proclaimed the evening worship in many Hindu homes. Devotees of God set aside their worldly duties and turned their minds to prayer and meditation. This joining of day and night, this mystic twilight, always created an ecstatic mood in the Master. The devotees seated in the room looked at Sri Ramakrishna as he began to chant the sweet name of the Divine Mother. After the chanting, he began to pray. What was the need of prayer to a soul in constant communion with God? Did he not rather want to teach erring mortals how to pray? Addressing the Divine Mother, he said, O Mother, I throw myself on thy mercy. I take shelter at thy hallowed feet. I do not want bodily comforts. I do not crave name and fame. I do not seek the 8 occult powers. Be gracious and grant that I may have pure love for thee, a love unsmitten by desire, untainted by any selfish ends, a love craved by the devotee for the sake of love alone. And grant me the favor, O Mother, that I may not be deluded by thy world-bewitching Maya, that I may never be attached to the world, to woman and gold, conjured up by thy inscrutable Maya. O Mother, there is no one but thee whom I may call my own. Mother, I do not know how to worship. I am without austerity. I have neither devotion nor knowledge. Be gracious, Mother, and out of thy infinite mercy, grant me love for thy lotus feet. Every word of this prayer, uttered from the depths of his soul, stirred the minds of the devotees. The melody of his voice and the childlike simplicity of his face touched their hearts. Girish invited the Master to his house, saying that he must go there that very night. Master, don't you think it will be late? Girish, no, sir. You may return any time you like. I shall have to go to the theater tonight to settle a quarrel there. It was 9 o'clock in the evening when the Master was ready to start for Girish's house. Since Balaram had prepared supper for him, Sri Ramakrishna said to Balaram, Please send the food you have prepared for me to Girish's. I shall enjoy it there. He did not want to hurt Balaram's feelings. As the master was coming down from the second floor of Balaram's house, he became filled with divine ecstasy. He looked as if he were drunk. Narayan and M were by his side. A little behind came Ram, Chuni, and the other devotees. No sooner had he reached the ground floor than he became totally overwhelmed. Narayan came forward to hold him by the hand, lest he should miss his footing and fall. The master expressed annoyance at this. A few minutes later, he said to Narayan affectionately, "If you hold me by the hand, people may think I am drunk. I shall walk by myself." Girish's house was not far away. The master passed the crossing at Bosapara Lane. Suddenly he began to walk faster. The devotees were left behind. Presently, Narendra was seen coming from a distance. At other times, the master's joy would have been unbounded at the thought of Narendra, or even at the mere mention of his name. But now he did not even exchange a word with his beloved disciple. As the master and the devotees entered the lane where Girish lived, he was able to utter words. He said to Narendra, "Are you quite well, my child? I could not talk to you then." Every word the master spoke was full of infinite tenderness. Girish stood at the door to welcome the master. As Sri Ramakrishna entered the house, Girish fell at his feet and lay there on the floor like a rod. At the master's bidding, he stood up, touching the master's feet with his forehead. Sri Ramakrishna was taken to the drawing room on the second floor. The devotees followed him and sat down, eager to get a view of the master and catch every word that fell from his lips. As Sri Ramakrishna was about to take the seat reserved for him, he saw a newspaper lying near it. He signed to someone to remove the paper. Since a newspaper contains worldly matters, gossip and scandal, he regarded it as unholy. After the paper was removed, he took his seat. Many of the devotees were in the room: Narendra, Girish, Ram, Haripada, Chuni, Balaram, and M. Narendra did not believe that God could incarnate himself in a human body, but Girish differed with him. He had the burning faith that from time to time the Almighty Lord, through his inscrutable power, assumes a human body and descends to earth to serve a divine purpose. The master said to Girish, "I should like to hear you and Narendra argue in English." The discussion began, but they talked in Bengali. Narendra said, "God is infinity. How is it possible for us to comprehend him? He dwells in every human being. It is not that he manifests himself through one person only." Sri Ramakrishna, tenderly, "I quite agree with Narendra. God is everywhere. But then you must remember that there are different manifestations of his power in different beings. At some places there is a manifestation of his power of ignorance. At others, a manifestation of his power of knowledge. Through different instruments, God's power is manifest in different degrees, greater and smaller. Therefore, all men are not equal." Ram, what is the use of these futile arguments? Master, sharply, "No, no, there is a meaning in all this." Girish to Narendra, "How do you know that God does not assume a human body?" Narendra, "God is beyond words and thought." Master, "No, that is not true. He can be known by the pure buddhi, which is the same as the pure self. The seers of old directly perceived the pure self through their pure buddhi." Girish to Narendra, "Unless God himself teaches men through his human incarnation, who else will teach them spiritual mysteries? God takes a human body to impart to men divine knowledge and divine love. Otherwise, who will teach? Narendra, why, God dwells in our own heart. He will certainly teach us from within the heart. Master, tenderly, yes, yes, he will teach us as our inner guide. Gradually, Narendra and Girish became involved in a heated discussion. If God is infinity, how can he have parts? What did Hamilton say? What were the views of Herbert Spencer, of Tyndall, of Huxley, and so forth and so on? Master, to M. I don't enjoy these discussions. Why should I argue at all? I clearly see that God is everything. He himself has become all. I see that whatever is God. He is everything again. He is beyond everything. I come to a state in which my mind and intellect merge in the indivisible. But without awakening one's own inner consciousness, one cannot realize the all-pervading consciousness. How long does a man reason? So long as he has not realized God. But mere words will not do. As for myself, I clearly see that he himself has become everything. The inner consciousness must be awakened through God's grace. Through this awakening, a man goes into samadhi. He often forgets that he has a body. He does not enjoy any talk unless it is about God. Worldly talk gives him pain. Through the awakening of the inner consciousness, one realizes the all-pervading consciousness. The discussion came to a close. End of today's reading.